Okay, we're welcoming in John Frenzy, Hall of Fame Rough Riders broadcaster. How you doing, Frenzy?
I'm doing great, Rod. Looking forward to the show.
Yeah, well, you're on it now.
Yeah.
So you were sitting on our couch, part of the live studio audience that we have in here today. Of all those topics, what do you think? What grabs you first?
Well, the thing that grabs me the most is Winnipeg being the hub city. I find that hard to believe. I am a Prairie fan here and like Winnipeg. I understand that what they mean. They won the Grey Cup last year. I thought that was great, but I'm really surprised about this. I thought it would have been one of Edmonton or Calgary or Vancouver or Toronto, and probably Toronto in that order. Number one, and a couple of the states like L.A. and somewhere in Dallas. But I imagine the state cities are out because of all the troubles they got right now, eh?
Well, a variety of reasons. I mean, just yesterday, Rich Sutter was on the air with us. You know Rich Sutter.
Yeah.
Saying two reasons why he believes the NHL will be playing in Canada when they resume the playoffs. A, what you just said, the coronavirus hotbed that is America. And B, Sportsnet is headquartered in Toronto. Would be very easy for the NHL to play in Sportsnet's backyard. CFL has different issues. Right? They're coming to, if it is indeed Winnipeg, which I still believe that it is. The denial means nothing to me. I'm sorry. Winnipeg has had the lowest COVID cases of anybody from the jump. They got on it early. I don't know what they did. It would make a lot of sense for them to go to Winnipeg. Now, we're very good here, too.
Yep. We're fantastic here. We've done a great job here in Regina and Saskatchewan.
So what about the poll question where I said, would you want your city to be a sports hub? How would you vote for that and why?
Hey, that's quite a question, eh? Yeah, I would. I'd vote for it. For the good publicity it would give the city. It'd be nothing but good for Regina. Would they have enough hotels? You'd wonder about that. It'd be quite a very, very questionable point right there. But I would vote for it. I would vote for my city because I think it's a plus. Anytime that your city gets some advertising, gets on television, gets known for doing something special, it's great for the city. And Regina certainly has done a lot of great things, and this would be a better one, just another flower in their cap.
Well, you see, I'd like to hear from all the Winnipeggers watching today on Game Plus and Facebook Live. Jason Trumbla writes in, he says, bring it to the Peg. Best fan base anyhow, 100%. I'm just seeing this as a major bragging rights thing more than anything. I mean, listen, I don't think that the fans really care that it's a boon for the hotels and some restaurants. I don't think the fans care about that. And the business community, I know how they work. If it's not their business benefiting, they're not going to care about the other businesses. You know that as well as me.
Yeah.
This is a bragging rights thing as far as the fan bases go, correct?
You know, one guy who is really going to love this, and you know who that is, Mr. Wade Miller.
Oh, yeah.
He'll think it's the greatest thing since sliced underwear. And it is. I mean, do they have enough hotels there? Good question. There'll be a lot of teams that might be going back and forth between Brandon and Winnipeg. Brandon not very far from Winnipeg, so they can make that work out. It'll be difficult, but not that difficult. Only a couple of situations. It will be interesting to see who and how they allocate the hotel situation.
Right. Well, you know,
who gets one hotel, etc.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to hear from the Winnipeggers, because while I've been to Investors Group Field a lot of times, IG Field they're calling it now, and been around that University of Manitoba campus, I'm not familiar with, they say they've got indoor fields, outdoor fields, dorms, obviously, that they're telling me in the last 24 hours that everything is right there. Shoot, players could walk to the stadium, you know, whereas, right, in Saskatchewan, you don't have the hotels right around the facility. You darn sure don't in Hamilton, and you don't in Edmonton either.
And
for those reasons.
In Winnipeg. I'd like to go there and see if they do, really.
No, well, I believe they do. Just tell me. I'm asking the Winnipeg people that. So the fact, if this is true, because people are writing in live while we're on the air saying the CFL is denying this report, it means nothing to me that they're denying it. It just tells me that it got out ahead of them wanting to get out.
Do you really believe it is Winnipeg?
I absolutely do.
Because you want to.
No, because I believe the source that told me.
Yeah.
And because the number one CFL insider on TSN, Dave Naylor, confirmed it this morning. So
that's a good enough reason.
Well, thank you.
But let me tell you something else. There'll be a lot of questioning, a lot of comments on it this afternoon and the rest of the day, whether it's pro and con Winnipeg. But I'm happy for it. It's great.
Well, this is where I and certain leaders of the CFL differ on how we do things. The fact that we're even talking about this is a great thing, because you know what people would be talking about otherwise? NHL hub cities and playoff matchups and Cam Newton's contract and Tom Brady being happy to be out of New England.
Yeah.
Like, the fact that we're talking about this is a good thing, because it is a gigantic hurdle.
Yeah.
It's like climbing a pole vault with a toothpick,
Right.
just to play at all.
Yeah.
So the fact that we're talking about Winnipeg as a hub city, and whether it's a good thing or not, is actually a great thing for the Canadian Football League. But a lot of people fail to realize that, and you know that, John.
Yeah, sure is. It sure is great for the Canadian Football League. More publicity.
Just that we're talking about it.
More publicity.
Well, and it's funny. Now, our viewers have just gone off the off-ramp to Crazy Town. I'm not saying they're crazy. The comments are. Donna's saying Regina's easy to get around. Bus shuttle for players. Colin in Ottawa writes, ever been to Tim Hortons Field in Hamilton? All there is around there are houses and warehouses. So maybe he's agreeing. It's not about who's better anymore. It's about them going to Winnipeg because the decision's been made.
How many teams are going, therefore how many players will be there in those hotels all the time? Remember, they can't go home, can't see anybody. They've got to stay in their hotel rooms, can hardly talk to each other even. So it's going to be quite a frustrating experience for most of them. I want to know how many teams are going. Do you know how many teams are going there?
All of them.
All 32? No.
Hang on. Are we talking CFL, National Football League? What are we talking about?
I'm talking NHL.
There's 31 teams, and they're splitting them into two cities. Can we just stick on the CFL right now?
Okay.
All 9 teams are going to Winnipeg if they play. And what I didn't understand was, and I saw a quote from Orlando Steinauer, the Ticats coach, saying if they play, they likely won't have any preseason games, which would not surprise anybody. What's the point? You know,
it isn't. It's not.
There's no point in having preseason games.
No.
So I'm piecing together everything that I read, because I do read everything. Randy Ambrosie, the commissioner's on Edmonton radio, saying 90 players per team at the outset. This is the headache that they're dealing with. Housing them, quarantining them, paying them, feeding
90
them.
players.
90.
Oh,
90.
God.
I'm just going by what he said.
Are you sure he's not talking? He's talking football. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, what else would he be talking about?
Yeah. Well,
So-
it's going to be crowded. The guys are going to get frustrated. It depends how long it is. If it's more than 2 weeks, well, you know what stretches in then, eh? Yep. But overall, should be good for Winnipeg. A lot of people will be noticing it. It'll be on national television. It'll be on consistently all day. That's the thing I'm looking at.
I know, 9 hours of football every day.
And you'll get some upsets probably. It's going to be
Sorry,
pretty
not
good.
every day. Every Saturday probably, and one on Sunday. But maybe this should be the poll question. Do we actually believe this is going to happen? Really? I mean, keeping the players in their hotel, let's be honest, they're young men. I was one. So I know what they're like. They don't listen. In terms of staying healthy, the only way that I can think about this, by the way, is that it's, hey, you test positive, you're out, you're not playing. That might cause the players to police themselves.
Do you think there might be a lot of friction between the policing staff and the players?
Of the team staff, you mean? Not the actual police, but the people.
The team.
That's a really good question. In all these leagues, whether it's the NBA, NHL, whoever's getting back to play here, you're not just going to have to put one security guard at the front door, which, by the way, coaches used to do all the time. You'd have to put an army of guys.
Yeah.
The stories are legendary of that, by the way. And what is wrong with that? You're trying to protect the games, the league, the teams, the players from themselves. Those hotels become almost like prisons now that I think about it.
Now, what is the true story, the real story regarding fans? Can't go? None allowed? What?
Haven't heard that. I think as it stands right now, the fans won't be allowed in the facility. As it stands right now.
So
just by government guidelines.
They'll parade around outside the building.
The fans will be watching on television.
There'll be a lot of them down there trying to get in. You know that. Come on. Fans love those players. All those players in one building?
You can't have the players interacting with the fans. What's the point? You can't. That's the whole concept of a bubble. If you come down trying to meet a player outside the stadium, you will be sent home. Maybe even zip-tied.
You don't think that's not going to happen?
No, it won't if they're told not to. Come on, John.
Well, I hope not. I hope so.
Brady in Saskatoon writes in on the Prairie Mobile text line, 840-8777. Hey, Rod, it's Brady. Would I want my city to be a hub city? Sure. I mean, Saskatchewan is pretty well off when it comes to COVID positive tests, so we are a great fit. What I'm scared of, if NFL Canada comes to fruition, is losing the uniqueness of our league. Well, there is a discussion from 2 weeks ago, this NFL Canada discussion, and I'll come back to that in a minute. I just want to read a couple more messages here from Metal Shingle Guy. He says, the sim was great again last night, boys. Cody is looking average to good so far this year. BC was due a win. Good for them. Bring on the Argos. That's from Metal Shingle Guy. Yes, on our sim broadcast last night, the BC Lions came into Mosaic Stadium 116-11 on a Mike Riley 93-yard led touchdown drive in the fourth quarter. He capped it with a 3-yard run. But back to the NFL Canada. Actually, you had a point before we go
Johnny
to that?
Ohm. Look what Johnny Ohm says up there.
What does John Ohm in Winnipeg say?
He is right. Fans will be tailgating at the stadium.
Tailgating's fine. That's absolutely fine. You cannot interact with the players. And John Ohm also says, you test positive, there goes your salary, CFL player. You're out. I think the same thing's going to happen in the National Football League.
Oh, I agree with you.
To be honest with you,
sure, will.
You guys need to look after yourselves. Can you do that? Can you be men?
But a lot of them won't be able to. You're saying they will. I don't think they will. But they won't be really bad. There'll be 3 or 4 incidents in each situation, hockey and football.
At least. There already are positive cases.
Yeah.
Now, to the NFL Canada discussion. Listen, it came up on this show. We're all sitting here going, they got to get money from somewhere, whether it's the federal government, whether it's from a fundraiser, a GoFundMe, if that's the way that they go, or the NFL. And people, I get upset that people just dismiss this notion immediately. Like, I get really upset because it already happened once. Why do they think it can't happen again?
Happened in 1997.
Right. What do you remember about that?
Beautiful old Regina. I remember he and I in the coffee shop. We knew that the team down the road was meeting at the motel, and we thought, well, there's rumors that the NFL might give them some money, but that's all BS. I remember me saying to Rod, that's all BS. The team doesn't need trouble. They'll be okay.
Right.
Then we heard a guy walked in, who I'm not going to say it was, and he said, it's all settled. The NFL's giving them the money. We found out later in the day that Hugh Campbell had arranged for the National Football League to give the CFL, the money needed to survive.
$500,000 per team.
In 1997. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here, folks. That then was the third time this had happened. It happened in 1970 and what? 1977. 1977 there. 3 times this has happened. It's not the first time. We've been through this act before.
Yeah, but one of our viewers, Dave Spadafora, writes in and he says, it did happen, but not to the extent that you are proposing.
That's true.
Yeah, but they need more money now. That's the business of the CFL has grown so big. Look at the salaries of the presidents, the GMs, the coaches now. I just talked with a league guy the other day. They're completely out of control. The CFL needs more money. Look at the stadiums now compared to 20 years ago. They got loans to pay off.
There's
a huge
advantage?
debt. The CFL is so different now than it was 20 years ago. It's not even close. So the need is that dire. Now, let me just say this. You're right. 20 years ago, people were saying, oh, not that big a deal. They're not that in that much trouble, which they were. You got people saying that right now. And I'm not throwing shade at Bob Irving, the voice of the Blue Bombers, because I love him like family, but he's getting very upset about this NFL talk. And I'm like, if anybody should know, it's Bob. He was around for all of this stuff. So that Knuckles is saying that. And then you got Glenn Suter saying, I hope the fans and the media and the Players Association realize how grave this is.
Yeah.
So what is it?
Yeah, but is there any advantage?
Not that big a deal?
Is there any advantage to the NFL subsidizing the CFL?
Of course it is. And we'll talk about that when we come back. Lance Frazier will join us, former Dallas Cowboy and Saskatchewan Rough Rider. It is the RP Show, Facebook Live, Game Plus TV Network, and listen live at rodpeterson.com.
You're watching Rod Peterson On Demand. For more of The Rod Peterson Show, visit rodpeterson.com or follow Rod Peterson on social media.